I've got people buying these beds like they're luxury items, custom engineered, safe enough to pass regulations, but with optional features, special discounts for those who catch their spouse doing something unforgivable. But let's start from the beginning, right after your subscription to this channel. I'd noticed the shift weeks ago, maybe even months back, but I didn't pay it much attention at first. Seemed small. A few more texts, a late night meeting or two. Hell, everyone's busy now and then, right? Except this wasn't busy. A person doesn't look you in the eye and lie about another work dinner smack in the middle of a weekend. Not when you've been married this long, not when you know every tick, every routine. Lisa had some tells too. Always paid more attention to her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. Screen dimmed the second I glanced over. Some rehearsed reasons for why she needed to step outside during dinner, all smiles and that bullshit sweet tone she'd perfected, acting like I didn't notice. I noticed, but I stayed quiet, observing from the sidelines, like I do with any other problem I'm about to fix. She caught a break when I ran late from a project I was managing for work, a big one that required my hands more than my head. 2 days straight of calculations and manual tweaking to get a machine balanced gave her room to stretch out, or so she thought. The piece of evidence that finally confirmed everything, a text, a run-of-the-mill evening where we were sitting in the living room after dinner. She went to grab a glass of wine, her phone buzzing on the couch beside me, screen lighting up. "Miss you already," the message read. I didn't recognize the number, just the implications. Instead of confronting her, I pocketed that nugget of proof. In the past, I'd have cursed, punched a wall, something that showed I was angry. But rage can be held, controlled. And that's exactly what I did, as I laid the foundation for something far more satisfying than a petty argument. Phase 1 was recon, and I executed it with a precision that would have made my old engineering instructors proud. Installed a couple of small low-res cameras around the bedroom, hidden well, off-brand stuff I got from a back alley shop downtown. Cheap but effective, the kind that streamed straight to my laptop. Couldn't have anything that might alert her, couldn't take that chance. Lisa, completely oblivious, too wrapped up in the thrill of whatever fantasy she was living to notice the wiring job I did behind the bed frame over a few days, carefully placing my custom-built, spring-loaded surprise under the mattress. That piece was a labor of love, honestly. Rigged it up to release on a timed delay, long enough for the bed to get some good use. Then, boom, touch the ceiling. It wasn't just about pain. Sure, I knew the potential for broken bones was high, but it was more about the violation, the shock, the idea of them thinking this was their hidden little comfort zone, only for me to turn it into their hell. I wanted them to fear me. I wanted her to see exactly what happens when you tear apart the life we built, brick by brick. But I'm jumping ahead. The next few days, Lisa became predictable. There'd be no major shifts. Same tone of nonchalance, same lies, thinking I believed a coworker named Kathy kept inviting her out for after-hours drinks. "Won't be too late," she said one night, kissing me on the cheek as I nodded, setting a wrench down on the kitchen counter. Her perfume lingered longer than usual. Expensive, something she never bothered to wear for me anymore, funnily enough. "Of course," I replied, careful not to give away anything, keeping my face as impassive as the damn coffee machine next to us. When she exited the house, I went back to work, tightening screws on my little invention. Each turn of the wrench was like twisting the final piece of her stupid, fucking fairy tale noose. Then came the next phase. Bait! I staged a trip, said my company wanted me in New York for a week, some new prototype presentation, played it cool, pretended to be annoyed I had to go. Lisa didn't ask many questions when I told her the news at dinner, nodding as she sipped a glass of Chardonnay. "Oh, another work thing?" she asked, her eyes briefly flicking away as though she couldn't care less, the fake concern almost making me laugh. "Yeah," I grumbled, dragging out the lie perfectly. "Shouldn't be more than 4 days, maybe 5. Depends on how quickly we can get through everything. I'll let you know." She smiled, the kind of smile she used to give me before all of this, thinking she had the upper hand. I nearly crushed my fork in response. By the time she dropped me off at the airport, there was more excitement in her walk than usual. Sent me a polite wave from the driver's seat, all sunshine and love. Then, as she peeled off, I watched the digital feed from my hidden door cam blink to life, watching her take that goddamn left turn toward Mike's place. Conveniently, I was very much still in town. I pulled the car to the curb and cut the engine, my eyes glued to the phone on the passenger seat. The live feed flickered for a second, then smoothed out, revealing the house I spent years building with her. From this angle, I had a perfect view of my bedroom, where Lisa moved around, setting the stage for her little melodrama. She thought she had it all figured out. Cute perks of the job, late meetings, and constant work stress were her excuses, as if I couldn't sense something was off, as if I didn't know her routine better than she did. Tonight, though, she thought I was out of town. That was probably the most insulting part. There was a special kind of calm in knowing just how easily she had lied to my face and how stupid she was about what was coming. Then, the front door opened on the feed, and Mike walked into the frame. Mr. Charming Realtor himself. A cocky smile plastered on his face, as if he had every right to be there, like he belonged in my house, in my bed. A wave of cold, calculated satisfaction rushed through me. Let him enjoy his last moments of confidence. They went upstairs, her giggling like a high schooler sneaking into the boys' locker room. Disgusting. I clicked the video to full screen. My finger hovered over the remote switch beside me. Not yet. Timing was everything. I'd spent too long planning this moment to rush it. They started pulling off their clothes, laughing between whispers I didn't need to hear. It was always the same script. Cheap thrills, temporary highs. They were completely oblivious. Lisa walked over to the bed like a ritual, like they'd done this a dozen times before. And hell, maybe they had. She even had the audacity to toss one of the cushions on the floor, something I'd picked out last year because she loved the pattern. It made me sick. The two of them climbed into bed, naked and tangled in each other. That bed, my bed. I clenched my teeth and gripped the remote tighter. Just a few more seconds. Lisa moaned. Mike whispered something in her ear, making her laugh. More of that cheap, vapid laughter. I imagined exactly how they thought tonight would go. They'd have their fun, sleep off their guilt, and then I would come back in a few days, none the wiser. I almost smiled. My finger pressed down hard. The bed detonated like a spring-loaded jack-in-the-box, flinging them both straight up. They didn't even have time to scream. Their bodies slammed into the ceiling, and the sound, God, the sound. A thick, wet smack as skin and bone hit plaster. If either of them had time to make sense of what had happened, it was too late now. Lisa hit first, her body awkwardly twisted. Her shoulder rammed into the ceiling at just the wrong angle, knocking it clean out of its socket. A muffled crack reached my ears through the phone speakers. She collapsed onto the floor like a rag doll, face first. Blood erupted from her nose, a few teeth skittering across the hardwood, as the impact mashed her face into something unrecognizable. She screamed. No, it was more of a gurgle, really, as she clutched her shoulder, her whole frame racked with agony. Mike wasn't much better off. His upward thrust sent the back of his head directly into the light fixture, shattering glass everywhere. His scalp split open, and a steady flow of blood streamed down his face. But it was his ribs. Those went next. A sharp crack echoed through the room as his chest slammed down onto the edge of the bed frame. He crumbled next to Lisa, gasping in pain, barely able to move. I threw open the car door and stepped out into the night. The walk to the front door was slow, deliberate. There was no reason to rush anymore. Taking my time was half the fun now. I pushed through the front door like it was any other regular night. Their screams and moans of pain filled the upstairs, muffled by the closed bedroom door, felt almost like home in a twisted way. When I reached the stairs, I kicked off my boots, one at a time, with a sense of purpose. I made my way up, calm, steady, hearing the whimpering get louder the closer I got. There was a part of me that felt at peace, all those nights staying up, waiting for her bullshit excuses. The lies were over now. I twisted the doorknob. The door wasn't locked, not that it would have mattered, and I shoved it open so violently the handle slammed against the wall. Lisa's face turned to me, blood soaking her teeth, spattering out onto her chin. She started to whimper my name, begging with her eyes, terrified as she tried to inch away. John. No, I wasn't interested in talking. Mike, that dumb piece of shit, groaned, barely moving, drowning in his own pain. One hand clutched his ruined ribs, his entire torso shaking as he struggled for air, shallow and wheezing. I stepped into the room, towering over the wreckage of their little affair, completely satisfied. Lisa tried crawling backward, using her good hand, dragging her shattered body across the floor. Her arm hung wrong from her dislocated shoulder. "Please," she whispered through gasps, her face a mess of blood and tears. I pulled out my phone, flicking open the hidden camera feed. It was right there, clear as day. Every moment caught, every betrayal now frozen in time. I angled the phone so she could see the video, rubbing it in without a single word. Lisa's eyes widened, staring at the screen in horror. She knew exactly what it meant, what I meant. She shook her head, trembling, those crocodile tears streaming down her cheeks, mixing with the blood. "No, no, no, please, John." Her voice broke into raw, pitiful sobs. Her career, her reputation, everything she built was about to come crumbling down, destroyed in a matter of seconds. Mike, still too dazed and mangled to make sense of much, stared up at me. Even through the pain, I could see him slowly understanding. His jaw dropped in quiet panic as he stared at the phone. No words came out, just a shallow groan of misery. I let the silence sit for a moment, watching as the weight of it crushed them both. Lisa opened her mouth again, maybe to plead, maybe to scream. I didn't care. I pocketed the phone, ignoring her entirely, and moved toward the closet. In the corner, I spotted her collection of designer bags, shoes stacked neatly, all that ridiculous, useless crap she'd been stockpiling over the last few years. One piece at a time, I pulled it all out, tossing it onto the floor in a heap. "John, don't..." Lisa struggled to push herself up, arms shaking, barely able to get more than a few inches off the ground. I didn't even turn toward her. I reached into my pocket, pulled the lighter out and flicked it, the tiny flame glowing softly against the chaos of the room. The satisfaction I felt was cold, calculated. This was just the beginning of their suffering. "You know," I said, my voice eerily calm, "I've been busy today. While you two were occupied, I made a few financial arrangements." Lisa's eyes widened, a mix of fear and realization dawning on her face. "That's right, sweetheart. Our joint accounts? Empty. The house? In my name now. Your car? Sold. Everything we built together? It's mine." I watched as Lisa's face crumpled, tears streaming down her cheeks. She tried to speak, but only a choked sob came out. Mike just lay there, his eyes darting between us, finally grasping the gravity of his actions. "You have nothing left, Lisa. No money, no home, no support. And you," I turned to Mike, "you're not much better off. I wonder how your clients will react when they see the video of you fucking a married woman?" Mike's face paled even further. You can't," he wheezed, clutching his ribs. "I can, and I will," I replied coldly. "Unless you both want to find out how much worse I can make your lives, I suggest you disappear. Consider yourselves lucky I'm calling an ambulance." I pulled out my phone and dialed 911, never taking my eyes off them. "Yes, I need an ambulance. There's been an accident." As I hung up, I looked at Lisa one last time, the woman I once loved, now a broken, pathetic mess on the floor. I felt nothing but contempt. "Goodbye, Lisa. I hope it was worth it." I walked out of the house, leaving them to face the consequences of their actions. The sound of approaching sirens filled the air as I got into my car and drove away, ready to start my new life. One without the burden of betrayal. Filing for divorce wasn't complicated. I went through the motions like I would troubleshooting a mechanical problem at work, precise, efficient, without an ounce of hesitation. Lisa didn't even try to fight it. What could she say, anyway? Her body was bruised, her spirit practically shattered. I barely recognized her when I walked into that courtroom. She had lost that confident, self-assured spark she used to have. Hell, I didn't even feel a flicker of pity. She was a hollow shell, and honestly, that's more than she deserved. Almost too easy. No contest from her side. The affair caught in glorious 1080p had sealed that deal before it even started. The paperwork moved swift enough that I was signing away the marriage like canceling a gym membership. "Lisa?" She walked away with the clothes on her back and absolutely nothing else. I'd emptied the accounts, left her with jack shit. No car, no house. The house, by the way, sold that. Too many memories of a life that wasn't real anymore anyway. Got my own place downtown, a smaller apartment above a cafe, the kind of place where no one knows anybody and no one asks too many questions. Efficient. I liked the cold detachment of it all, waking up in a spot that didn't remind me of the past. No more wandering through the house and catching a whiff of her damn perfume. Freedom, finally. And you know what? I started dating again. Met some women who didn't ask about my past, didn't know a damn thing about Lisa. They didn't need to. I cut off every single person who had anything to do with her. Friends, mutual acquaintances, anyone who might have tried to bridge the gap, pull me back into some mess of closure or forgiveness. Fuck that. That chapter was sealed shut and burned to the ground. A scorched earth. I was living now, for once, without her shadow looming. The best part? That video. That little piece of pain in my pocket that I could pull out whenever I wanted. Not to watch, of course. I didn't need to see it again. Handled that the first time, and it served its purpose. No, just knowing I had it. Knowing Lisa knew I had it. It's funny how a single moment, caught on tape, can define someone's entire future. She'd never be able to sleep right again, always wondering if, one day, that clip made its way to her office or her next desperate job interview. Months later, I sent her a little reminder. Harmless, really. It was just a picture of me at a bar, smiling like a man who has it all figured out. I had my arm around this woman. Alyssa was her name. Met her a few weeks prior, but she wasn't important. The important part was the message. It was short, just 2 sentences. "You can never escape this," I wrote. The envelope contained the photo, and that note. I imagined Lisa opening that envelope in her shitty rundown motel room, staring at the picture, probably trembling, wondering if that was the day I planned to send her collapse viral. She made her bed, didn't she? And now she can lie in it, all broken-ribbed and miserable. Speaking of beds, I've been working on something too. Turned the trap I rigged for Lisa and Mike into a full-blown business idea. Started a company, simple, elegant, specializing in a special kind of custom beds. You wouldn't believe the market for this stuff. Turns out, a lot of folks feel similarly about betrayal. And revenge? Oh, revenge sells. I've got people buying these beds like they're luxury items. Custom engineered, safe enough to pass regulations but with optional features. Special discounts for those who, catch their spouse doing something unforgivable. It's almost therapeutic, knowing other people might get the same satisfaction I got. Hey everyone, if you found this story gripping and want to hear more like this one, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more jaw-dropping tales every week. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. If you have your own wild stories to share or ideas you'd like us to bring to life, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.